Have you ever noticed someone who seems to apologize way too often, even when nothing is their fault? Or maybe you've seen someone who isolates themselves, finding comfort in solitude over the company of others. These behaviors might seem odd at first, but for survivors of abuse, they're often a way of life. Today, we'll explore 10 of the weird or unusual behaviors of people who have endured the psychological and emotional impact of being in a relationship with a narcissist. Let's start with one of the most common, hypervigilance. Survivors of narcissistic abuse often find themselves constantly on edge, always anticipating criticism or conflict. Melanie used to live with a narcissistic partner who would criticize her out of the blue. Now, even years later, she flinches at loud sounds or sudden movements. She often finds herself scanning the room for signs of danger, even in safe environments like family gatherings. This behavior stems from the brain's attempt to protect itself from anticipated threats, a common response to prolonged trauma. But what about those who find themselves saying yes when they really want to say no? Let's dive into the hidden struggles of people-pleasing. Many abuse survivors have learned to prioritize others' needs over their own. Narcissists often train their victims to believe their worth is tied to what they can do for others, leading to chronic people-pleasing. Michael always says yes to every request at work. He finds it almost impossible to set boundaries because during his relationship with a narcissistic boss, he learned that saying no could lead to days of silent treatment or public humiliation. This behavior often develops from a need to avoid conflict and gain approval, especially when self-worth has been undermined. People-pleasing might seem like a kind and generous trait, but for many survivors of narcissistic abuse, it often becomes a barrier to building healthy relationships. This behavior often stems from a deep-seated fear of rejection or conflict, learned from years of trying to keep the peace with a narcissist. Over time, constantly bending to others' expectations can erode a person's sense of self. They may feel lost, unsure of who they are outside of serving others. This is why working on this behavior is so important, not only for personal healing, but also to foster real, lasting connections with others. Narcissistic abusers erode their victims' self-trust. The constant gaslighting and criticism create a fear of making wrong choices, leaving survivors paralyzed even over the simplest decisions. After years of being told that her choices were wrong, Emily struggles to make even simple decisions, like picking what to eat for dinner. She often turns to others, asking, "What do you think I should do?" because she no longer trusts her own judgment. Chronic self-doubt and fear of making mistakes are common in survivors, leading to indecisiveness. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, can assist in rebuilding self-trust and decision-making confidence. When every choice feels like a risk, sometimes the safest option is to retreat entirely. This leads us to another behavior, self-isolation. When trust is shattered, the world becomes a dangerous place. Survivors often withdraw from social interactions, finding solace in their own company where they feel safe. Please like, subscribe, and share this with others who may need to hear this message. John used to be outgoing, but after years with a narcissistic friend who constantly belittled him, he began avoiding social events. He felt safer being alone than risking another emotional attack or feeling like he wasn't good enough. Isolation can be a defense mechanism to prevent further emotional pain and betrayal. Gradually reconnecting with trusted friends and family can help rebuild social connections and trust. Isolating yourself might seem like a way to find peace, but for others, keeping the peace involves over-apologizing, sometimes for things that aren't even their fault. Saying sorry becomes second nature. Lisa bumps into a chair and immediately says, "I'm sorry." Her friends often tell her to stop apologizing, but it's a reflex. In her previous relationship, even small mistakes could lead to hours of lecturing, so apologizing became a way to keep the peace. This behavior often develops from a fear of conflict and a desire to maintain peace, especially after being conditioned to believe they are always at fault. Therapeutic interventions can help individuals recognize their worth and reduce their need for excessive apologies. Take a moment. Have you ever felt like you needed to apologize just to avoid conflict? You're not alone. Saying sorry all the time often comes from a place of deep insecurity. After all, if you've been told you're always wrong, it's hard to feel good about yourself. This brings us to low self-esteem. Years of manipulation and belittlement takes a toll on a person's self-worth. Survivors often struggle to see their own value, believing the lies the narcissist fed them. Tom was a confident person until he married a narcissist. She constantly compared him to others and told him he wasn't good enough. Now, even after the divorce, he struggles to accept compliments and feels like a failure, despite his achievements. Continuous criticism can erode self-worth, leading individuals to internalize negative beliefs about themselves. Engaging in activities that promote self-discovery and self-worth, such as hobbies or volunteering, can help rebuild self-esteem. When your self-worth has been chipped away, it's not just how you see yourself that changes, it also affects how you see others. Trust can become a real challenge. After being betrayed by someone they loved and trusted, survivors often struggle to trust anyone else. It's not just about romantic relationships. It affects friendships, family, and even workplace dynamics. After being lied to repeatedly by her narcissistic sister, Maria finds it difficult to believe anyone's promises. When her new friends said they would call her back, Maria immediately assumed it was just a polite way of saying goodbye. Betrayal by a trusted individual can lead to generalized distrust in future relationships. When trust is fragile, even small disagreements can feel dangerous. Many survivors find themselves avoiding conflict altogether to stay safe. To a survivor, conflict often feels dangerous. They may avoid expressing their own needs or opinions. Whenever tension arises, Alex immediately changes the subject or leaves the room. Growing up with a narcissistic parent, he learned that expressing his opinion could lead to explosive arguments. So avoiding conflict became second nature. Conflict avoidance can be a learned behavior to prevent further emotional harm. But avoiding conflict isn't the only strategy. Some try to prevent criticism before it happens by striving for perfection. If everything is perfect, they hope they won't draw criticism. Perfectionism can develop as a coping mechanism to prevent anticipated criticism and maintain a sense of control. Mindfulness practices can help individuals accept imperfections, and for some, that toll shows up as emotional numbness, where feeling nothing at all becomes a way to cope. After enduring emotional turmoil, many survivors shut down their feelings as a form of protection. While it might appear as apathy, it's often a sign of deep, unhealed wounds. When Jack's dog passed away, his friends were surprised by how unemotional he seemed. It wasn't that he didn't care. He had just become so used to suppressing his feelings to survive his narcissistic partner's constant gaslighting that he couldn't access his emotions anymore. Emotional numbness can be a protective response to overwhelming stress and trauma. Expressing emotions through creative outlets, such as journaling or art, can help individuals process and release suppressed feelings. These behaviors might seem unusual, but they all have one thing in common: they are responses to trauma. Understanding them is the first step to healing. If you or someone you know struggles with these behaviors, remember, they are not weird. They are valid responses to trauma. Healing is possible, and there is hope. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with others who may need to hear this message.